The image of a shark's mouth, filled with rows of razor-sharp teeth, is one of the most powerful symbols in the natural world. For millions of years, this has been the ultimate weapon of an apex predator. But a silent, invisible threat is now eroding this incredible evolutionary advantage. It's not a bigger predator, but a chemical change in the very water sharks call home. Today, we're diving into the unseen threat of ocean acidification and how it's quietly disarming one of the ocean's most formidable hunters. So, what exactly is happening? The story begins in our atmosphere. As humans pump massive amounts of carbon dioxide into the air, about a quarter of it gets absorbed by the world's oceans. This might sound like a good thing, like the ocean is helping us clean up our mess, but it sets off a chemical chain reaction. The CO2 reacts with seawater to form carbonic acid, which lowers the ocean's pH. This process is called ocean acidification. And as the water becomes more acidic, it also reduces the concentration of carbonate ions. These ions are the essential building blocks for countless marine organisms, like corals and shellfish, that need them to build their skeletons and shells. For a long time, scientists focused on these calcifying creatures, thinking sharks, with their tough reputation, might be resilient. But a growing pile of evidence tells a different, more worrying story. The very water sharks swim in is becoming corrosive, and it's attacking them from multiple angles. Let's start with the most iconic feature, the bite. A shark's mouth is a conveyor belt of death. Unlike us, with our one set of adult teeth, sharks have multiple rows and are constantly replacing them throughout their lives. This ensures they always have a fresh, sharp set ready for action. But this incredible adaptation might not be enough to withstand the chemical assault of ocean acidification. A startling study from Germany put this to the test. Researchers took teeth from black-tip reef sharks and exposed them to water with a pH level predicted for our oceans by the year 2300. The results were shocking. After just 8 weeks, the teeth in the acidic water showed significant damage. We're talking visible cracks, holes, and corrosion that weakened the entire structure of the tooth. One of the lead researchers, Maximilian Baum, put it bluntly: shark teeth are highly developed weapons built for cutting flesh, not resisting ocean acid. The study revealed a strange twist. The acid actually made the surface of the teeth more irregular. At first glance, you might think this could increase their cutting efficiency, making them sharper. But it's a dangerous trade-off. This increased irregularity also made the teeth structurally weaker and much more likely to break. A broken tooth is a useless tooth. If ocean acidification causes sharks to lose teeth faster than they can naturally replace them, they could find themselves in a constant state of dental distress. Their bite becomes less effective, making it harder to hunt and feed. For animals already facing threats from overfishing and shrinking food supplies, this is an additional burden they simply can't afford. But the threat doesn't stop at the mouth. A shark's entire body is covered in a specialized armor. Their skin isn't smooth or covered in flat scales like most fish. Instead, it's covered in tiny, tooth-like structures called dermal denticles. Structurally, they are almost identical to teeth. These denticles serve two critical purposes. First, they provide a tough, protective layer. Second, and perhaps more importantly, their unique V-shaped design reduces drag in the water. This allows sharks to swim with incredible efficiency and stealth, conserving energy and surprising prey. Unfortunately, because these denticles are made of the same material as teeth, they are also vulnerable to acid. A study on pufferter shy sharks exposed them to acidified seawater for several weeks. The results were clear. In the sharks from the high-acid water, about 25% of their dermal denticles were damaged. For the sharks in normal water, that number was less than 10%. This corrosion effectively smooths out the shark's skin. A smoother shark is a slower, less efficient shark. It creates more drag, forcing the shark to use more energy to swim, and potentially impairing its ability to launch surprise attacks. The researchers noted that since denticles and teeth share the same structure, The damage they observed on the skin is a terrifying preview of what's likely happening inside the shark's mouth. So ocean acidification is dulling a shark's weapons and weakening its armor. But it gets worse. It's also messing with their senses. A shark's bite is the final act in a sophisticated hunt that often begins with an almost supernatural sense of smell. They're famous for being able to detect tiny amounts of blood in the water from incredible distances. This sense is crucial for finding food. But elevated CO2 levels appear to be dulling this vital sense, effectively blindfolding them in their own environment. One experiment exposed smooth dogfish to water with CO2 levels predicted for the end of this century. The results were alarming. The sharks in the high CO2 water showed a significant avoidance of food smells they would normally be attracted to. They were far less likely to investigate and attack a food source compared to sharks in today's water conditions. The acidic water seems to be scrambling their sensory reception. They can't properly interpret the chemical signals that tell them, food is this way. If a shark can't effectively smell its prey, its hunting success plummets. This leads to lower growth rates, less energy for reproduction, and a greater struggle just to survive. These threats aren't happening in isolation. They combine to create a less effective predator. A shark with a dull bite, damaged skin, and a muted sense of smell is going to struggle. A decline in shark populations isn't just bad news for sharks. It's a disaster for the entire ocean ecosystem. As apex predators, sharks play a critical role in maintaining balance. They prey on the sick, the weak, and the old, which keeps prey populations healthy and genetically strong. By keeping mid-level predator populations in check, they prevent those species from over-consuming smaller fish and invertebrates. This has a cascading effect all the way down the food web. For example, a decline in sharks can lead to an explosion in the population of their prey, such as large groupers. Those groupers then eat huge numbers of smaller, reef-grazing fish. Without the grazers, algae can overgrow and smother coral reefs. The intricate balance of the marine world, shaped over millions of years, is at risk of unraveling because a shark's ability to hunt is being chemically eroded. And this is all happening on top of other major stressors. Sharks are also dealing with warming oceans, which affects their habitats and the location of their prey. They're fighting against rampant overfishing and the destruction of their nursery grounds. Ocean acidification is another heavyweight opponent in a fight they are already losing on many fronts. The scientific evidence is undeniable. Ocean acidification is a direct threat to the very survival of sharks. The corrosion of their teeth and skin, combined with the impairment of their senses, strikes at the core of what makes them such successful, enduring predators. The idea of a toothless shark might sound like a bad sci-fi movie, but the reality is that the fundamental functionality of their bite is being slowly ground down by our carbon emissions. The fate of sharks is completely tied to the health of our oceans, and the health of our oceans depends on our actions. There is only one way to slow down and ultimately reverse the acidification of our seas. We must drastically reduce our carbon dioxide emissions. The plight of the shark is a stark and powerful warning. It shows us that the consequences of climate change are far-reaching, complex, and can humble even the planet's most formidable creatures. The future of the shark's bite, and the future of these ancient and vital predators, hangs in the balance. And it's a future that will be determined by our willingness to act, to take responsibility, and to protect the blue planet that we all share.